Hello everyone, welcome to week 9. I hope you all did well in your test and I hope you all relaxed enough afterwards too. And now we're starting again in week 9. So our topic for this week is data security. So today we're going to do a review activity and then we're going to begin our topic. And for grammar today, we're going to focus on using verbs for cause and effect. Okay. So here is a short review activity. So we're going to do a computer crime interview. So first, I want you to comment on this YouTube video asking your fellow students if they can explain a specific computer crime. So, for example, you could ask your classmates if they can explain what spoofing is, okay? And then I want you to comment answering another student's question, explaining what a specific computer crime they asked about is. So if someone asked what email phishing is, you could comment, email phishing is when a criminal sends someone an email to steal their data. They pretend to be an important and trustworthy authority and ask for people's bank details or passwords. Okay, so we're going to look at some questions and answers in the practicum session on Tuesday. All right, so here are some different kinds of computer crime, and they all have interesting names. So we have salami shaving, denial of service, DOS attack, Trojan horse, trapdoors, mail bombing, software piracy, piggybacking, spoofing, defacing, and hijacking. Okay, so a DOS attack is when someone shuts down your computer so that you can't use it. You can't turn it on. Okay, and they do this so that they can then ask you for money to turn it back on. So it's actually quite effective because people do a lot of their work on their computer, or they have important information on their computer, or their computer is very expensive, so they're willing to pay some money to turn it back on. Okay, another kind of crime is trapdoor, where programmers will program a secret door into the security of a program that lets them secretly enter it again. So they might secretly enter the program to steal money or to steal some information like bank details that they can use to steal money. And then there's mail bombing. So mail bombing is when a criminal will flood someone's email with lots and lots of emails so that they can't use their email anymore. And it can be used to hide an attack, because if a computer user's security system sends an email that notifies them that they've been hacked, for example, the mail bombing means they can't read that email. So it can be an effective tool for criminals. Okay, so I'm going to ask you this question, but I want you to answer it in the practicum session. What is a difference or similarity between a computer, a virus, a worm, and a Trojan horse, and a real virus? Okay, so a real or a biological virus is a very small, simple organism that infects living cells. So I want you to tell me, what's the same or different with an artificial computer virus and a biological virus? Okay, what's the same and what's different with a real worm and a computer worm? And what's the same or different between this Trojan horse and a computer Trojan horse? Okay, so maybe you don't know what this Trojan horse is. So this is a sculpture which shows the Trojan horse used in the Trojan War by the Greeks. So the Greeks gave a Trojan horse as a gift to the Trojans, and the Trojans took the horse and put it inside their city. But the Greeks were actually hiding inside of the horse, and they snuck out of the horse during the night and attacked the Trojans. Okay, so how is that similar or different to a computer Trojan horse? All right, this activity will also be for the practicum session. So what stories do you think followed these headlines? So these are headlines from news stories. I want you to think about it, and then you can Google to find the stories. And I'm going to ask you for answers in the practicum session, okay? All right, so let's have a look at salami shaving. Salami shaving is an example of a computer crime. It is enacted when a program is altered so that it transfers a small amount of money from a large number of accounts to make a large profit. It is usually done by taking advantage of rounding to the nearest cent or other monetary units in financial transactions. Okay, so you can read the rest of this by yourself. This will be a discussion question in the practicum session. So I want you to think about an answer. Have you ever been the victim of a computer crime? So my uncle was the victim of a computer crime recently. It was a kind of phishing attack where a Facebook message was sent to him, and when he clicked on the link, it opened a virus. All right, now we're going to look at the grammar. Ways to link cause and effect relationships and causative verbs. So, what is the relationship between these actions? So we have 4 actions here. A date or event occurs. The trigger routine runs. The payload routine activates. The hard disk is wiped. So these 4 events form part of a cause and effect chain. Okay, so a cause is something that happens, and an effect is something that results from the cause happening. So a cause can also be an action. So for example, if I hit a ball, the ball will go flying. Or if a cause is something that happens, say there is a storm and it rains, and the effect is that everything gets wet. Okay, so that's cause and effect. Now let's look at these 4 events. We can describe the links between each event in a number of ways. We can use cause plus a to verb or an infinitive verb, or we can use make plus a verb, just a base verb. So a date or event occurs which causes the trigger routine to run. A date or event occurs which makes the trigger routine run. Okay, so just let me get my drawing tool here. So causes is not used as much as makes. So makes is actually a lot more common. Okay. All right, so let's continue. All right, so let's look at some examples. Putting the events in sequences and using which with an action verb. So we can use which and when we are making cause and effect sentences. So the trigger routine runs, which activates the payload routine. So we can use which to show an effect, and we can use when to show a cause. So when the trigger routine runs, the payload routine activates. Okay, so we use which for an effect, and we use when for a cause. Okay, there are four kinds of causative verbs. So make is just one of four causative verbs. The causative verbs are let, have, make, and get. But we use make the most in IT. So make is most common in IT. But let's have a look at the other kinds of causative verbs. So let. So for let, we use subject plus let plus object plus base verb. We use let to show permission, to allow someone to do something. My teacher let me use Facebook. I let myself have a break. I need to be easier on myself. Then we have, so subject plus have plus object plus base verb. We use have when we require or authorize someone to do something. The teacher said, I have to study hard. The teacher had the students take an exam. So remember, had is the past tense of have, and have is the present tense. And make, so subject plus make plus object plus base verb. We use make when we force someone or something to do something, or are forced by someone or something to do something. So the something who forces us could be the computer, for example, or the Trojan horse. The Trojan horse made my computer crash. I will make the Trojan horse wish it had never existed. Okay, so made is the past of make. Then we have get. Subject plus get plus object plus to infinitive. So we use get when we convince someone to do something, and also when we force someone or something to do something, usually after many attempts. Okay, so they DOS attacked me to get me to send them money. Sorry, so that should be them, not me. I finally got my computer to install the program. Okay, so the first practice for today is an integrative task. So you need to make a causal chain of sentences. So you need to use when and which, and some of today's vocabulary, and all four causative verbs. All right, another kind of verb for cause and effect are N verbs, where we have N at the start or N at the end. So you can look up the meaning of some of these words in your own time, and we're going to look at them in the practicum session. So we use N or n to make things a bit simpler. So let me give you an example. You can make the picture on your monitor wider. So instead of using make and wider, we can just use one word, widen. So we simplify. You can widen the picture on your monitor. Okay, so that's a word ending in n. You can make the picture on your monitor bigger. You can enlarge the picture on your monitor. So we join the word make with bigger. We simplify the sentence of cause and effect to you can enlarge the picture on your monitor. So for this practice, I want you to change these sentences by using the n on the end of a word or the n on the start of the word. So using those verbs that start or end with n to simplify these sentences. Okay, and for practice 3, I want you to identify the use of cause and effect and the use of n and n verbs in the text salami shaving. So you need to identify the uses in this text. So you can just mark the cause and effect examples, maybe with a pen, or you can list them on a separate piece of paper. Okay, so in the practicum session, I'm going to ask some students to screen share some of their answers for the practice activities. And here is our reference for today. So good work, everyone, and I'll see you on Tuesday in the practicum sessions. Thank you.